Now we're going to do our first operation using Entity Framework, and that's going to be to add a product to our database. First, we're going to get the product's name from the user, and we're going to store it in a variable called name, and that's inside the add product method. And we're going to get that input using the nconsole.ask, which will be a string passing the string product's name, and that is a class provided by the Spectre console library. Then we'll create an instance of the product's context. And we need the using statement since the context is an unmanaged resource and it needs to be disposed of, and that's what the using does. Then we need to use the add method from that product's context object, and this method expects an instance of the model to be passed. And in our case, the model is the product. So we're using the keyword new to create an object, product, which is the name of the model, and populating the object with its properties. In this case, we just have one property, which is the name, and we don't need an ID because by default, Entity Framework auto increments properties with the name ID. As we can see here in the initial migration file, you can see that there is an annotation, SQLite : auto increment. Then we need to call the save changes method of the context, which will persist the changes to the database. So let's see if it works. If I choose add product, I get asked the product's name. And if I say cappuccino for a new coffee type, I get an error. And it looks like it can't find my table products. And that's because by default, Entity Framework looks for the database in the bin folder of the application, which is where the executable for this project lives. So we need a modification so that it finds the database in its correct folder, which is in the same folder where the CS_proj file lives. So let's grab that folder by right-clicking on the choosing copy full path. Then we're going to click on the arrow next to the project's name and choose the project's debug properties. And that's where we change our working directory. So we need to paste the path that we have just copied, just removing the last part, which is the CS_proj file name. And you're going to see that a new folder was created in the Solution Explorer, and that's the properties folder. And this folder has a file called launchsettings.json, which has information about launching the project. And we can see here that there is a working directory key value pair with the new path that we configured. With that, let's test again. Let's choose the add product option, choose the product's name, which will be cappuccino, my favorite coffee, and let's see if it was recorded in the database. So opening the database with DB browser, click on browse data, and we can see the cappuccino record was inserted with the ID of 1. So that's it. In the next lesson, we're going to learn how to get the data from that table.